Hey everyone, in today's video I'm going to talk about the differences between creating digital art on an iPad versus a pen display. Now my general advice when it comes to buying computers, laptops or tablets to create digital art is to always choose based on the software you want to use. The iPad is essentially a standalone device with its own OS, in this case iPad OS. So with its own OS, there is also the App Store where you get access to a lot of wonderful digital drawing and illustration and graphic design apps, all of which can be installed on the iPad. And you can bring this around. You don't have to connect this to anything to draw on this. All you need is the Apple Pencil. So it's very convenient to draw on the iPad. You can create professional art from start to completion on this. You get the complete workflow with this. For a pen display, this is essentially a monitor that you can draw on. Because this is a monitor, you do have to connect this to a computer in order to use this. I actually have this connected to this computer behind. So the computer will have its own OS. It can be Windows or Mac OS. And with the pen display, you get access to all the desktop software, the desktop illustration software and graphic design apps that are available. Since the pen display is connected to a computer, you get access to the whole desktop experience. You can do things like have windows side by side. You can resize windows. You get the proper file management system. You can have a window here showing your reference photo while you are drawing. Basically, you can do whatever you have done with a computer ever since you had a computer. You don't have to relearn any new workflow. Whereas for the iPad, let's say if you want to have a reference photo by the side, you can do so, but it's going to be this split screen mode, at least with the current iPad OS version. So, I mean, you can actually do this, like pull out this tab to show the reference photo, but you are not going to be able to like resize this to just show this part, because here you can see it's blocking the drawing app. And the file management system on the iPad, it's just let's just say that there are a lot of things you cannot do with the file management system. For example, you can play an MOV file, but you cannot play an MP4 file for some reason. Most of the time on the iPad, the artworks will be saved within the drawing app itself. So for example, with this app, which is Procreate, all the artworks are saved within Procreate. The artworks are not saved as a file within a folder somewhere. Now this can be a good thing or a bad thing. The good thing is it makes it really easy to access all the files that you have created using the app. But the bad thing is if you need to work on multiple file types, for example, if you want to open up this file and you want to export it to another app to use on your computer, you have to do the export process for all the multiple files. Whereas with a pen display, when you save the file will always be in the folder and you can access that file with whatever apps that you are also using. Whereas here with Procreate, let's say if I want to open this file with another app, I would have to resave the file or share the file to the other app before I can open that. So that's an extra step. This is not a problem if you create art within a single app, but if you work with multiple file types, then it's going to be easier and more convenient on the pen display. Apple Pencil is sold separately, whereas the pen, for the pen display, it's included. Both stylus or both pens will support tilt and pressure sensitivity. With this particular Apple Pencil, you can actually tap on it for some shortcuts. With this pen, you get 2 side buttons. This is not powered by battery, so you don't have to charge it, whereas this is powered by battery, but battery life is not a problem because this is always attached to the iPad. For accuracy and drawing sensitivity, I would say this pen is more sensitive, especially when you are drawing with very minimal pressure. But having said that, the drawing experience for both pens, it's excellent. There are many wonderful drawing and graphic design apps available on the iPad. Some of them are really capable. For example, Procreate is one of the more popular digital illustration apps. I like to use Concepts as well. There is Photoshop and Illustrator. These two are actually the tablet versions of the desktop apps. So the user interface is different, and also the functionality is also different, slightly different compared to the desktop apps, which is to say that you may not get the full functionality here with these tablet apps. Clip Studio Paint here is interesting because this is the full desktop app. So this is Clip Studio on the desktop on macOS, and this is Clip Studio on the iPad. The user interface for this software is essentially similar on both platforms. You get the palettes, you have the menu bars, you even get the same keyboard shortcuts. And the files that you create here can be opened here, same thing vice versa. There are some differences though. So for Clip Studio on the iPad, this is designed with finger gestures in mind, so you can use your fingers to zoom in and out and rotate. So this can be quite convenient when it comes to navigating around the canvas. Whereas for the desktop app, if you want to navigate, you actually have to use a keyboard. So if I want to navigate around, I have to use the keyboard to navigate, zoom in and out. I can do that as well. The functionality for both apps on both platforms is the same, just that when it comes to navigation, you have to use the keyboard for this because this is not a touch screen. You may notice the colors are different even though this file is the same. That's because this pen display has been color calibrated. So I'm a print designer. If I need to send this piece of art to a printer, I need to know how that art will look exactly when it's printed, which is why I color calibrated this display to show me how the art will look when it's printed. The iPad display is calibrated according to Apple's standards. They use the DCI-P3 color space. For my work, which deals with print, I use the Adobe RGB color space, so the colors are going to look different. Even though it's the same color, but the colors are going to look different on different displays. So for the iPad, if you want to create art for print, it would be good to check your colors on a monitor that is properly color calibrated. But if you're just creating digital art for presentation online to share on Facebook, Instagram, then it doesn't really matter whether or not the display here is calibrated or not. The DCI-P3 color space is great for web presentation. Clip Studio is the only app that I know that uses the same user interface for both tablet and desktop. For all the other apps that share the same name, for example, Photoshop, they will have different user interface. So here I have tablet Photoshop opened, and this is desktop Photoshop. So you can see the user interface is different. There are still going to be palettes. Some of the functionality will still be available here, but you can see with the desktop, you can have more palettes. You can rearrange the palettes to wherever you see fit. you have access to the menu bar, and here you get all the functions, the commands. These commands may still be available with tablet Photoshop, but you have to find out where they are because now they are hidden behind the buttons, hidden behind the layers, the settings. So if you have been using Photoshop for the longest time on desktop and you want to switch over to tablet Photoshop, it's going to take a while to get adjusted to the new workflow, to the new user interface. The other thing to note is not all the functionality that you get with desktop Photoshop is available on the tablet Photoshop. Another app I want to show you is Adobe Illustrator. So first of all, with a side-by-side comparison, I can tell the colors here are a bit off. The white is a bit off. Anyway, so tablet apps are designed in such a way that they will show you more of your work, show you more of your canvas, and they will try to minimize the user interface. So for example, here the layers are hidden in this button because they want you to see more of your work. You can still use finger gestures, but most of the commands, the functionality are just hidden away. Whereas on the desktop, again, you can place the palettes on the side. You can show the palettes here. So using this particular software is just way more productive on a desktop because you have the palettes open, you can change things very easily. You have the menus here, you can go in and change things again very easily. And since you are using a keyboard, you can use keyboard here as well, but the thing is there are a lot more keyboard shortcuts available with the desktop app. Pen displays are available in different sizes, as do iPads. So for the iPads, there is the iPad mini, which is 8 inches, and this is the 12.9 inch iPad Pro. For pen displays, you get more sizes. You can get 12-inch pen displays all the way up to 24, 27. I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but there may be a 32-inch pen display. So the advantage of having such a huge variety of different sizes is for print designers. For people who work with print, artists who work with print, you get to see your art at 100% scaling, which is to me no scaling. You get to see your art as the same size as it's going to be printed out. Whereas on the iPad, you will see a scaled version of your art. Being able to see your artwork at 100% size with no scaling is quite convenient, but this is no big deal to most artists. Just that personally for me, I prefer to see my art at 100% if possible, because this allows you to check the size of your fonts. For example, if this is the actual print size, I can see immediately whether the font size are big enough or too small. This allows me to check my work more accurately and more easily. The main selling point for the iPad when it comes to creating digital art or graphic design is it's a standalone device. It's very portable. A lot of digital artists and graphic designers are using the iPad to create professional art to make a living. The main selling point for using a pen display is it gives you access to your desktop OS, which gives you access to proper file management system, which allows you to use different software and different file types conveniently with ease. And it gives you access to all the full desktop versions of the software, which in my opinion has more functionality compared to those same apps on the iPad. And it's just more productive using graphic design and drawing software on desktop, personally for me, in my opinion, because of the keyboard. I mean, you can use keyboard with the iPad as well, and many drawing apps or graphic design apps will give you access to keyboard shortcuts as well, but all the apps here will give you access to keyboard shortcuts. So this saves me like a lot of time. If you're wondering about Samsung tablets, well, Samsung tablets, they run Android OS, and on Android there aren't as many capable drawing and graphic design apps compared to the iPad. More specifically, there are just not many graphic design apps. So for example, vector illustration, 3D modeling, page design work, all those are quite lacking on the Samsung tablet. However, there is Clip Studio on Samsung tablets on Android, and the Clip Studio is, as what you have seen earlier, is the full desktop version. So if you do want to create digital illustration on Android, then Clip Studio would be the main app to go with. Whereas if you get the iPad or the pen display, you have access to like even more drawing and graphic design apps. So to conclude, choose based on the software you want to use. If you don't have any preference, you can choose based on other factors like, for example, portability, in which case the iPad would win hands down, or you can choose based on budget, in which case the pen displays would give you more value for money. I mean, for the same money that you spend on an iPad, you can get a much larger pen display. Alright, so thanks for watching. If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. See you guys in the next video. Bye!